Welcome. I hope you all are doing well. Today, we bring you a fascinating and mind-blowing story. This is not just a tale but a reality that will make you think deeply. So, let's dive into this amazing journey.
Slave Narratives, a folk history of slavery in the United States from interviews with former slaves, Volume 3, Section 1, Josephine Anderson. I can't tell nothing about slavery times except what I heard folks talk about. I was too young to remember much, but I recollect seeing my grandma milk the cows and do the washing. Grandpa was old, and they let him do light work, mostly fish and hunt. I don't remember nothing about my daddy. He died when I was a baby. My stepfather was Stephen Anderson, and my mammy's name was Dorcas. He come from Virginia, but my mammy was born and raised in Wilmington. My name was Josephine Anderson, for I married Willie Jones. I had two half-brothers younger than me, John Henry and Ed, and a half-sister, Elsie. The boys had to mind the calves and sheeps, and Elsie nursed the missus' baby. I done the cooking mostly, and helped my mammy spin. I was only 5-year-old when they brung me to Sanderson in Baker County, Florida. My stepfather went to work for a turpentine man making barrels, and he worked at that job till he dropped dead into camp. I reckon he must have had heart disease. I don't recollect ever seeing my mammy wear shoes. Even in the winter she'd go barefoot, and I reckon cold didn't hurt her feet no more'n her hands and face. We all wore dresses made of homespun. The thread was spun and the cloth wove right in our own home. My mammy and grandmammy and me done it in spare time. My wedding dress was blue for true. I thought it was the prettiest dress I ever see. We was married in the courthouse, and that be a mighty happy day for me. Most folks dem days got married by laying a broom on the floor and jumping over it. That seals the marriage, and at the same time brings 'em good luck. You see, brooms keeps hants away. When mean folks dies, the old devil sometimes don't want 'em down there in the bad place, so he makes witches out of 'em and sends 'em back. One thing about witches, they gotta count everything 'fore they can get crossed it. You put a broom across your door at night, and old witches gotta count every straw in that broom 'fore she can come in. Some folks can just naturally see hants better than others. Teeny, my gal, can. I reckon that's 'cause she been born with a veil. You know, a caul, something what be over some babies' faces when they is born. Folks born with a caul can see spirits and tell us what gonna happen 'fore it comes true. Used to worry Teeny right smart seeing spirits day and night. My husband say he gonna cure her, so he taken a grain of corn and put it in a bottle in Teeny's bedroom overnight. Then he planted it in the yard and driv plenty sticks round the place. When it was growing good, he put leaf mold round the stalk and watch it every day and tell us don't nobody touch the stalk. It raised 3 big ears of corn, and when they was good roasting size, he'd pick 'em off and cook 'em and tell Teeny eat every grain off'n all 3 cobs. He watch her while she done it, and she ain't never been worried with hunts no more. She sees 'em just the same, but they don't bother her none. First time I ever knowed a hunt come into our quarters was when I was just big enough to go out to parties. The game what we used to play was spin the plate. Every time I think on that game, it gives me the shivers. One time there was a strange young man come to a party where I was, said he named Richard Green, and he'd been taking care of horses for a rich man what was going to buy a plantation in that county. He looked kind of slick and dressed up, different from the rest. All the gals began to cast sheep's eyes at him and hope he going to choose them when they start playing games. Pretty soon they began to play spin the plate, and it come my turn first thing. I spin it and call out, "Mr. Green!" He jumps to the middle of the ring to grab the plate, and bang! 'Bout 4 guns go off all at once, and Mr. Green fall to the floor plumb dead, shot through the head. 'Fore we knowed who done it, the sheriff and some more men jumped down from the loft where they'd been hiding and tell us quit hollering and don't be scared. This man be a bad deeper, one of them outlaws what kills folks. He's some kind of foreigner and just try and make believe he's a nigger so they don't find him. Well, we didn't feel like playing no more games, and forever after that you couldn't get no niggers to pass that house alone after dark. They say the place was haunted, and if you looked through the window any dark night, you could see a man in there spinning the plate. I sure didn't never look in, 'cause I done seen more haunts already than I ever wants to see again. One night I was going to my granny's house. It was just coming dark, and when I got to the creek and started across on the foot log, there on the other end of that log was a man with his head cut off and laying plumb over on his shoulder. He looked at me, kind of pitiful, and don't say a word, but I closely never waited to see what he gonna talk about. I pure flew back home. I was so scared I couldn't tell the folks what done happened till I sat down and get my breath. 'Nother time not so long ago, when I lived down in Gary, I'd be walking down the railroad track soon in the morning, and 'fore I knowed it, there was a white man walking alongside of me. I just thought it was somebody, but I wasn't sure, so I turned off at the first street to get away from there. The next morning I'd be going to work at the same time. It was kind of foggy and dark, so I never seen nobody till I mighty nigh run into this same man, and there he goes, 'bout half a step ahead of me, his two hands resting on his behind. I was so close up to him I could see him plain as I see you. He had fingernails that long, all cleaned and polished. He was tall, and had on a derby hat and stylish black clothes. When I walked slow, he slowed down, and when I stopped, he stopped, never once looking round. My feet's make a noise on the cinders tween the rails, but he don't make a mite of noise. That was the first thing got me scared. But I figure I better find out for sure if'n he be a spirit, so I say, good and loud, "Looky here, mister, I just an old colored woman, and I knows my place, and I wish you wouldn't walk with me, 'count of what folks might say." He never looked round no more'n if I wasn't there, and I cut my eyes round to see if there is somebody I can holler to for help. When I looked back, he was gone like that, without making a sound. Then I knowed he'd be a haunt, and the next day, when I tell somebody about it, they say he be the gentleman what got killed at the crossing a spell back, and other folks has seen him just like I did. They say they can hear babies crying at the trestle right near there, and ain't nobody yet ever found 'em. That ain't the only haunt I ever seen. One day I go out to the smokehouse to get a mess of taters. It was after sundown, but still pretty light. When I gets there, the door be unlocked, and a big man standing half inside. "What you doing stealing our taters?" I hollers at him, and pow, he gone, just like that. Did I get back to that house? We mighty glad to eat grits and cornbread that night. When we livin' at Titusville, I see my old mammy coming up the road just as plain as day. I stand on the porch fixin' to run and meet her, when all of a sudden she be gone. I begin to cry and tell the folks I ain't going to see my mammy again. And sure enough, I never did. She died at Sanderson back in West Florida before I got to see her. Does I believe in witches? Say, I knows more about them than to just believe. I been rid by 'em, right here in this house. You ain't never been rid by a witch? Well, you mighty lucky. They come in the night, generally soon after you drop off to sleep. They put a bridle on your head, and a bit in your mouth, and a saddle on your back. Then they take off their skin and hang it up on the wall. Then they get on you, and some nights they like to ride you to death. You try to holler, but you can't, counting the bit in your mouth, and you feel like somebody holding you down. Then they ride you back home and into your bed. When you hit the bed, you jump and grab the covers, and the witch be gone, like that. But you know you been ridden mighty hard, 'cause you all wet with sweat, and you feel plumb tired out. Some folks say you just been dreaming, counted the blood stopped circulating in your back. Shucks, they ain't never been rid by a witch, or they ain't saying that. Old witch doctor, he want $10 for a piece of string, what he say some kind of charm words over. Tells me to make an image of dat old witch out of dough, and tie dat string round its neck. Then when I bake it in the oven, it swell up, and the magic string shut off her breath. I didn't have no $10, so he say if'n I get up $5, he make me a hand. You know what colored folks call a jack. Dat be a charm, what will keep the witches away. I knows how to make 'em, but they don't do no good 'thout the magic words, and I don't know dem. You take a little pinch of dried snakeskin and some graveyard dirt and some red pepper and a lock of your hair wrapped round some black rooster feathers. Then you spit whiskey on 'em and wrap 'em up in red flannel and sew it into a ball 'bout dat big. Then you hang it under your right armpit, and every week you give it a drink of whiskey to keep it strong and powerful. Dat keep the witches from riding you, but nary one of these charms work with dis old witch. I got a pretty good idea who she is, and she got a charm powerfuler than both of them. But she can't get across flaxseed, not till she count every seed. You don't believe that? Huh, I reckon I knows. I done tried it out. I gets me a little bag of pure, fresh flaxseed, and I sprinkle it all round the bed. Then I put some on top of the mattress and under the sheet. Then I goes to bed and sleeps like a baby, and dat old witch don't bother me no more. Only once, soon's I wake up, I light me a lamp and look on the floor, and there, side of my bed, with my dress, layin' right over dat flaxseed, so she's could walk over on the dress. Big as life. I snatch up the dress and throw it under bed. Then I go to sleep, and I ain't never been bothered no more. Some folks reads the Bible backwards to keep witches from riding 'em, but that don't do me no good, 'cause I can't read. But flaxseed works so good, I don't be studying not riding witches no more.
This was today's story. I hope you liked it. If this story touched your heart, be sure to share it with others. We look forward to your valuable feedback. Until then, take care and keep us in your prayers. Goodbye.